What's going on YouTube? My name is Derek. Welcome to my channel Superbike Life. Thank you for tuning in to this last episode of my wreck bike rebuild video series sponsored by Bellisi Moto. That's right guys, this is the last episode of my wreck bike rebuild video series. The bike is done, or as done as it's going to get for right now for the video series. With a mod project like this, bikes are rarely done, whether it's cars, bikes, trucks, what have you. Rarely do you get to a level that I can say, I'm completely done with this bike. In fact, there's probably about $5,000 worth of things that I still would like to add to this bike, but there are some other things I want to do in the short term, so that means not a whole lot is going to happen on this bike except for me riding it for a while. So I'm calling this series done, and we started this a little more than a year ago. I did not expect this project to take this long. In fact, the bike spent most of its time in paint. I think it was about 6, almost 7 months with my painter Mo Modger at Bad Boy Designs in Glendale, Arizona. I did not expect that. I knew it was going to take a while, but I wasn't expecting 6 months. But we did get the bike finished with the help of a lot of people, and I'll list those toward the end of this video. But the one thing we haven't done is we haven't actually taken this bike for a ride. So I am out on my 2012 MV Agusta F4RR Corsacorta, heavily customized, fixed, and modified. I wouldn't say heavily modified, at least not on the performance side. It's still fairly stock. But I want to get this bike out on the road, go for a ride with you guys, and talk about why this video isn't a video of the Dyno tune, which I told you it was going to be. So I won't go through the entire spiel, but let's just say that the Dyno tune experience that I went through for this bike, knowing what I know now, I would not have done it. I would have just waited until I've done a full exhaust with a cat delete and a high flow air filter intake system. I would not have done it. I would have saved myself several $100s in the aggravation. It did not go well. The short version is that I called the shop to see if they could dyno tune with the rapid bike. They said yes. I got there on the scheduled date. He says, do you have the cable? I said, yes, I have the cable, but not with me. He says, well, I can't tune without the cable. I don't have it. He never asked me or requested that I bring the cable. And the shop is about 45 minutes from where I'm staying. So I had to drive all the way back home, get it, and then drive back to the shop. And we get back to the shop, he does a couple of pulls, gets ready to tune it, and then his computer won't talk to my rapid bike. So to say the least, I didn't get a dyno tune that day, but I did leave the bike with him and just basically told him that this was my only time to do this because of work. So call me, let me know when it's done. So that's why there was no recording of this bike on the dyno. However, I do have the dyno results, which I will post right now. As you can see, we picked up about 5 horsepower across the tire rev range, which is actually pretty good for a bike that only has a slip-on on it. Remember, this bike still has a cat, this bike still has a stock air filter and stock headers. So it only has a cat, it only has this Motus slip-on on it that is ridiculously loud, by the way. But we picked up 5 horsepower across the rev range, which is really good. Actually, I wanted to go that way. So we picked up 5 horsepower across the entire rev range, which is good, but that wasn't my goal. You see that dip right there about 6,500 RPMs, and there's another little one right around 8,000. My goal was to smooth those out because these Italian bikes, Ducati, this one, Aprilia, they're all tuned like crap from the factory. They're overly sensitive to throttle. They don't like going slow. They sputter and kick and buck. And I wanted I want to tune some of that out and take care of those dips at 6,500, about 8,000 RPMs. And you can see after tune, the improvement in those areas is minimal. So given that I picked up 5 horsepower with just a tune and a slip-on, that's great. I don't know what this bike was before it had the slip-on on it. I figure that the slip-on alone is probably worth 2 or 3 horsepower by itself. But again, given the aggravation that I went through to get it tuned, the fact that I didn't get to record it, and the gains noticed, or not noticed, because when I ride the bike, I can't feel that 5 horsepower across the rev range. And it still does a lot of the things that it did beforehand, which is if you try to hold a steady RPM, you can feel it surging and kind of spitting. It's not cutting out like it was doing when I needed a coil. But you can tell that it doesn't like to go slow. It doesn't like to stay at one constant RPM. So, like I said, given that, I would have saved myself the $400 it cost for the tune and just waited till I got the full titanium headers with the cat delete pipe and like a K&N or a BMC or MWR high flow air filter, and then I would have thrown it on the dyno and done the dyno tune. So a little bit disappointed from that perspective, but I'm super happy with the bike. It's running fantastic now that we've replaced the coils. No issues there. So my riding impression of this bike compared to my other bikes and more modern bikes, remember this is a 2012, and this is the year of the F4, right before they added all the rider aids, like a quick shifter, like electronic suspension, ABS, and all that stuff that came on the 2013 model. This bike, I would describe in a word as analog. This bike has a very, very, very first gen traction control system. It is not very good. To me, it almost has no traction control system, but it does not have ABS. Not have a quick shifter or auto blipper or slide control or wheelie control or launch control or any of those rider aids. This bike is very, very, very analog. So if you twist this throttle over here, it's going to give you all the power that you want it to give you. It does have rider modes, but I never change it out of sport. But if you twist this throttle, it's going to give you it's going to give you all the acceleration that you ask for. If you grab a handful of front brakes or rear brakes, it's going to lock up the wheels based on how hard you squeeze them. So you really have to know what you're doing to ride this bike. It's very, very, very analog. This is a sport bike that's harking back to the days of when they had none of those rider aids. It was all about the rider. And if you made a request of the bike, be it throttle, braking, what have you, lean, it's going to do what you ask it to do. And if you give it too much or too little input, it could spit you off and put you on your head, which is kind of what I like about the bike. It does have Olin suspension front and rear, it does have Brembo brakes, so it has all those goodies. It has LED taillights, HD headlight, LED turn signals, so from that perspective, it's fairly modern. But don't look for this bike to have a launch control. It does not have a quick shifter. Out of all of those rider aids, if I could add anything, it would be a quick shifter and auto blipper, only because I love those things on my brother's 2018 RSV4 RF. Those are, the quick shifter and auto blipper are phenomenal, honestly. And it just makes riding the bike so much more enjoyable. And it's pretty cool to do. But yeah, we're just out on a Monday afternoon. It's after work. Been cooped up in the house working all day. I figure it's a nice day. It's beautiful. Before it gets dark, we're supposed to get some bad weather later this week. I'll get out and record this video. Now, I may do one more that's more of a summary wrap-up, kind of a collage of all of the episodes of this video at some later date, but I won't be doing any more mods to this bike right away. Maybe some maintenance later on, but I'm going to really start focusing on my track riding. So I've said this before, if you watch any of the other videos, the more time I spend on track and the more track days that I do, the less that I actually enjoy riding on the street. And the reason is because of stuff like that. You get stuck behind cars. The other reason is because I want to go fast and I want to drag a knee. I want to enjoy the sport bike and seek the limits of my riding ability and the bike's ability, if I can, and have some fun doing it. And I can't do that on the street. There are some people that jump out on roads like this or canyon roads, and they're dragging knees and doing things, and That's just not something I'm into doing. You don't know what could be on these roads. We were out riding the other day, and a deer just wandered on past on the road. You're not gonna have a deer wander past you, you know, when you're on the track. But if you hit that deer on a motorcycle, it's gonna end very bad for you. There's nothing good that can come out of that for you if you hit that deer. So this is stuff not the riding I choose to do on the street. I don't know if I'll ever give up street riding, but I know I do much prefer riding these bikes on a track than I do on the street. Look, this is an awesome section. I've been through here probably 100 times, and I'm stuck behind 2 cars. So it's stuff like this that's kind of aggravating. But I do really like the bike. This is probably not the best bike to motovlog on because I don't have the baffles in this Modus exhaust. So I'm kind of yelling and I'm probably peaking the mic, and there's probably some pops and clicks that you're hearing, but hopefully I can edit some of that out and I can bring the motorcycle noise down while bringing the conversation audio up a little bit. We'll have to see. I'm not sure that'll be successful, but we'll see how it goes. I want to thank everyone that's helped me out with this bike. All of my sponsors, from Mo Modern and Bad Boy Designs that did the paint, to Brock's Performance that provided the wheels, to Moto Composites that provided 99% of the carbon fiber on this bike, and of course to Bellisi Moto for sponsoring this series, giving me an awesome discount on parts, and just being super supportive, and an awesome group of guys up there in Las Vegas. So special thanks to Randy, Kyle, Bellisi Moto, and the gang up there. You guys are awesome. I can't wait to work with you guys again on a future project. Speaking of future projects, let me know in the comment sections what the next bike build you'd like me to do. I've had my eye on a couple of KTMs, maybe like a Super Duke R maybe, or an RC8R. But let me know what you'd like to see. There are a few things that I'm interested in doing. I could build another track bike, or I could just take something that's been wrecked and just restore it and rebuild it and make it badass. So before I sign off, some of you have been asking me about my custom helmet and asked me to show a little bit more details on video. So when I dropped this bike off with Mo Modern at Bad Boy Designs, I asked them to paint me a custom helmet. So I picked up this brand new, this is my second one actually, the Scorpion EXO R2000 helmet. And it was all white, and I asked them, I said, you know, do me a custom helmet that matches the bike. So here it is. Along with some footage of the bike in its current form. And that carbon fiber you see painted on top, that's actually paint. It's not real carbon fiber. It's painted to match the carbon fiber there in the tank. But I think he did a fantastic, fantastic design. Now I will say this, and some of you are going to say I'm criticizing, but I am not crazy about the shade of green that's on the bike and the helmet, or the green pattern, like the alligator scale pattern. Not overly crazy about those. It's going to need to grow on me a little bit, but I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on it from the little bike nights I've been to while I'm out here in New England. A lot of people seem to like it. Now, no one's told me that they don't like it, but I guess that would just be rude, wouldn't it, to go up and say, I don't like that at all. So you're obviously going to hear from the people that actually like it versus the people that don't. And that's okay. Because like I said, I was hoping the green that he used in the bike would be more traditional to the Italian flag green. After all, this is an Italian bike. And we have some red and white in it, so it just made sense to use a green that's more akin to the Italian flag colors. And this is more of a pea green, which I'm not crazy about. And then when we talked about having the pattern fade from a dark green back to almost white, I thought that was a fantastic idea. I had seen that concept done on a couple of other bikes and cars. But when I saw the finished product, the shape of design, the pattern looked too animalistic to me. I wasn't crazy about it. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to rock this for some time. Maybe later, maybe a year or two down the road, I may repaint it, or I may not do anything. I may leave it the way it is and sell it and buy myself a Diablo and just cruise when I'm stuck behind cars like this and save all my sport bikes for the track. I don't know what I'm going to do right now. I do know there are a couple of other bikes that I wanted to pick up and add to the collection. I do know that we've already talked about doing another project bike, so I definitely want to do that. But I don't know what's on the horizon. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I'm not making any money from this. So unlike 650E and Jarek and PC, I don't have any money coming in from this to be, footing the bill on giving away bikes and parts and things of that nature. So I'm going to need lots of help from vendors if I'm going to do something like that. But yeah, again, I created this channel to get some footage out there and some information on European sport bikes, because there simply isn't anyone else doing it. And the reality is, if you own a European sport bike, chances are you are financially able to pay for someone else to work on it, which I am. I just hate paying people to do things I know I can do, particularly for a lot less money. And if you're like me, you're the same way. There's no reason to pay $200-300 for an oil change when you can do it yourself for like $50-60. So I'm going to call this a wrap for this episode, guys, in this video series. Special thanks again to all of my sponsors, Mo Madre de Bad Boy by Designs for providing the paint on this bike, to Motor Composites for providing 99% of all the carbon fiber, to Design Corsa for the performance water pump, to Brock's Performance for the carbon fiber wheels, these killer BST Rapid-Tech candy painted red carbon fiber wheels, and again to Bellissimoto, who provided all of the other parts on this bike, all of the carbon fiber levers and specialty one-off bits like the CNC bits, the fuel tank cap, everything, the carbon fiber tail section, all of that stuff. Bellissimoto, you guys are fantastic. I can't wait to get up there when I get back home, so Randy and I can do some riding. But again, special thanks to all of you guys. I couldn't have completed this bike without your assistance, and I appreciate you checking in and watching all the videos. And again, for all the feedback, good, bad, or indifferent, I read them all. I got broad shoulders, I can take it, so if you think these videos or this series suck and I could improve on it, let me know, and I'll try to do that. If you think it was awesome, I thank you, and I appreciate that as well. But you guys know the drill. Like, comment, blah, 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 blah. But later, guys.